Over the next 3 weeks, the legislature is moving towards consideration of budget issues, which we need to do before we can adjourn. We're really just starting that process. The governor has come forward in the wake of our revenue estimating conference reduction in revenues to propose a budget that's 2% less than what he proposed before. It's going to be very difficult for the Republican majority to come up with a proposal that Iowans can agree with or live with, because we've already been seeing reductions in revenues over the last 5 years. $927 million surplus in 2013. Now we're at a $130 million deficit. And all along we have been cutting services to Iowans in many areas in order to maintain what the governor calls a status quo budget.
There's also some discussion about an omnibus gun bill and the stand your ground provision included. Your concerns with that?
A bill passed out of the House earlier this session, now being considered by the Senate. There are a number of aspects of that bill that are problematic. One, for me, is the so-called stand your ground legislation that would basically give the right for anybody to confront someone in public with lethal force, a gun, and stand their ground rather than find other means of resolving the situation. The problem for me is that it gives the people the right to use lethal force for feeling any kind of threat based on their own perception, if they had a reason to believe they were threatened. It doesn't require people to have a reasonable reason to feel threatened. And I think it's only a matter of time before we're going to see some real tragedies in this state if people start thinking that violence and force is the solution to every problem they potentially face on the street.
Okay. And then lastly, there was also some discussion about a abortion ban bill that's being considered in the House. Your thoughts on that?
I'm not as familiar with that legislation as others. It passed out of the House Human Resources Committee this past week. I'm not on that committee. I expect we'll see that on the floor for debate here in the next couple of weeks. I did overhear a news conference where the leadership of the majority party told us that they're just trying to find language that a majority of their own members can live with. And I'm not sure that that necessarily is going to reflect the will or interests of Iowans as a whole, much less women who face the unfortunate predicament of problem pregnancies in Iowa.
Well, I think that there were a lot of really important conversations here today. The most powerful conversation topic for me was when we discussed women's health care, and I think Representative Finkenauer and Senator Yoakum really had powerful words to say about the real-world impact on women that some of the legislators' actions this session could have, especially around abortion and what that means. Especially Senator Yoakum talked about, a woman who's 20 weeks pregnant, she wants that baby, and so it's doubly devastating to make that such a political issue, and that should be between, a woman and her doctor. And I just think it was really unfortunate that our Republican legislators from the area weren't here today, especially Representative Lundgren, who's the floor manager of that bill, to respond to some of those issues and give her opinion on why she thinks this is something that's for business.
Well, gun control is a large issue for myself because I've spent so much time in classrooms, and I think it is an important issue that we need to address, and so that's what's really important to me.
How did you feel about what lawmakers had to say regarding the stand your ground provision that would be included in the omnibus gun bill?
Well, there's so many. That's such a large issue, the stand your ground, and I think we would just be giving the criminals an advantage. And from having served in a war in Vietnam, I know picking up a gun and actually shooting at someone, you need a lot of training. Even with training, your heart is beating, and it's a scary issue. So just to give someone a gun is not, it's not going to work.